So keeping our focus on the subject matter about the autonomy and the amendment of the Constitution, basically, let's cross over now to Abuja. Inata.
Thank you, Chamberlain. We're being joined by Senator Aya Risa, who is the former chairman of the Senate Committee on Privatization. Thank you for joining us, Senator.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so this matter of amendment of the Constitution to give local government autonomy,
Yes.
What's your take?
I think it's a beautiful piece of legislation. We've been agitating for devolution, and this is one of it. When the states were agitating for more powers, then what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. So it's not, it's something that I believe this will begin to warm the federal government to the idea of devolution of more powers to the states. Now that the National Assembly has been able to achieve this, does not mean that this is going to translate immediately to immediate benefit for the local government. There must be concerted effort to ensure that laws are made and laws are obeyed. And of course, erring officials should be sanctioned from time to time, because there is the tendency for abuse. As we see it with even at the federal government level, we see it at the state level. Now we are transferring about the same culture to the local government level. But I believe now that more qualified people would begin to seek positions at the local government level.
Talking about abuse and qualified people,
Yes.
the structure as it is now, okay, the National Assembly has passed this,
Yes.
but it's not yet been signed and all
It will
that.
be
So
signed.
while we're waiting for that, let's look at the issues. The current structure as it is has local government chairmen who do not live, some of them don't live in their local government areas, and councillors who may never even step into their wards, but they are councillors, that is the local government legislators as they're supposed to be. So how would this new structure now work?
Well, again, the local government officials could hide under the pretext that the governors were actually breathing down and taking all the money from them. So the issue of holding them accountable, the ball is now in their court.
In the court of who?
Of the local government officials.
Because at that time, I mean, the structure now means that the governors, I mean, the state government and the state assembly can actually say what's going on in your local government. But with this new legislation, none of that will happen.
Well, it's just like saying that because we have a governor, the federal government cannot see what is going on in your state. They will not assist you in managing, but when you file the law, particularly if we have evidence of corruption, you can see what is happening to some of the officials of Ekiti State Governor. What happened a few weeks back, you know, because the governors have immunity, they had to go after the officials to say, okay, you did this, and this. And that is existing now. There are ways the federal government can at least ensure that governors do what is right under the Constitution. Not, I mean, through some of these anti-corruption agencies. Now, beyond that, if you juxtapose that and see a governor who feels like a local government chairman is, rather than use the money to develop his local government, is putting in his private pocket, there are ways that he can move against such a local government chairman through the law.
So will the local government chairman now have autonomy? I mean, what do you call it now? Immunity?
Oh, obviously, obviously not, because that I don't think that is part of what they passed in the Constitution.
But you said what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Not in that sense, because what you look at is that we are fighting every day to ensure that even the governors don't have such immunity. If you are serving your people, you are expected to do what is right at all times. Now, if you are being distracted from your job, you should not have any immunity against capital offense. I mean, because I keep wondering, if you say a governor has immunity, he goes around, he kills somebody, and because of the immunity, you can't try him. It can only happen, I mean, in a country where we have a lot of problems to resolve in this country in terms of our laws, then the judiciary, and all that. Because if a man kills a person, I will say because he's governor, he goes away scot-free until he leaves office, and most times before he leaves office, he would have taken off from the country. So
let me take you back down history lane. I mean, in the 80s, there was a time when the local governments were owing salaries and schools were shut down for months. And I think that's about the time the states now had to, that joint account had to like be set up so that the state governments get the monies and then begin to handle some of these projects. This was in the 80s. Now that this is going to happen, if it passes through, because it still gets to the state assemblies for them to sign off on it, if they all sign off on it and it happens, that means we're back to what used to be in the 80s, where the local governments will now take care of, as it is in the Constitution, they're supposed to take care of the roads, they're supposed to collect the taxes, collect the fees, whatever levy. So what FIRS is doing or what the State Internal Revenue Service is doing, all those agencies will be shut down because by the Constitution, the local governments are supposed to collect all of this. So we're going back to that time. Would we be effective enough to see it go through?
Well, I have a feeling that the local governments are closer to the grassroots people.
Granted.
And if you're a local government chairman or you're a councillor representing a ward, the tendency is that your people see you almost every day. And if you are owing them salaries, the chances that many of them will not be able to stay within the local government is higher than somebody who sits at the capital. So if they know that this is the person not paying maybe teacher salaries or health worker salaries, and they're collecting taxes and they're not using it for the purposes, people are getting more and more educated. And participation, public participation, you will see a lot of people coming up to begin to develop policies between the government and the people, how people participate more in decision making, and how they can, I can tell you that some people can go to the local government and drive out a chairman. Believe me, because these grassroots people, they are more delicate than those of us who are retired.
Can they drive out a chairman who's surrounded by policemen and all that?
Trust these people. If it gets to that, if it's a matter of hunger, the policeman will not wait. Because this is not a policeman that has armored tanks and all that. If it's a civil revolt, there is no policeman who will stand. Because it's,